Hey, all of my Instagram followers, YouTube subscribers, Facebook friends, TikTok followers. You guys know what I do on my podcast, on my channel. I do Sip and Smoke. I'm either discussing hot topics or discussing hot people, or I am reviewing products that before you guys spend your money on it. Tonight we're going to do it a little bit different because not only is this a sip and smoke, but this is also going to be my final project for my media arts class. What we're doing tonight is I will be reading letters and telling stories from sexual abuse victims who need space to tell their story. If you have been living on this planet for the past 5 years, then I am sure you know what the Me Too movement is. And the purpose of this is to say fuck you to the Me Too movement. Why am I saying fuck you to the Me Too movement? Because of the platform. The platform is basically for actors, actresses, singers who have been sexually assaulted by maybe a music producer, movie director, and and also people who have been sexually assaulted by these people. This Me Too movement does not offer a platform for everyday victims, everyday normal victims who, in the eyes of them, their story probably doesn't matter because it wasn't an R. Kelly type, or it wasn't a Harvey Weinstein type, or a Kevin Spacey type. Um, these victims are talking about foster brothers, blood brothers, cousins, uncles, dads who don't really have anything going for themselves. So, of course, the victims of those stories, they do not matter. So, with that being said, I am not going to keep you in suspense anymore. I am going to start off with our first letter. Our first writer does not wish to be anonymous. Her name is Isis. She is now 16 years old. And her letter and her story starts off in foster care. I am going to give a quick disclaimer. She is my oldest daughter. She is my child. So, this also lets you know that a system that is supposed to protect you can also put you in harm's way. Because unfortunately for Isis, her story starts off being taken from me and being placed in foster care. So, with that being said, we're going to read her letter. My name is Isis McGill, and I was a victim of sexual assault. I was taken in 2010, and I was brought back in 2014. During that time, I was sexually assaulted. We were with a white family, me and my younger sister, and they had an older son. His name will always be unknown, but he was older than me by 6 or 7 years. Now, the thing that we have to realize, or the thing that I want you guys to realize about sexual assault victims, is we feel that if we mention a name or if we mention the person, we are giving them power over us. We are giving them control. If we want this to diminish in our emotional states and our mental states, then we have to diminish them. And in the way we diminish them is by not saying their name, by making them an inanimate object. So as long as the name is not known, it's kind of like a Voldemort type thing, he who must not be named. So we take away that power because we don't mention you. It's like it's kind of like ever seen the movie Don't Look Under the Bed? How your imaginary friend becomes something wicked or becomes something evil because you no longer acknowledge it. So just like that, we choose not to acknowledge you. That's how we get our strength back. Um, In the beginning, he was not bothering me until one night he came in the girls' room and hopped on the top bunk where I was laying at the time. He would always lay next to me and touch me in inappropriate places. I remember this one time I was sitting up on the bottom bunk and he sat next to me and put his hand on my thigh. I never knew what it was at the time. I thought he was just being nice. His hand proceeded to move up to my higher thigh until I decided to get up. I felt uncomfortable. This went on for about a year and a half. I was getting nightmares until the DHS worker came and told me and my sister to pack our stuff. In my mind, I thought we were going home, but that was not the case. We went to my aunt. I held this in for so long that it caused me anxiety and trauma disorder. And I hate when people touch me to the point where I just want to tell the world. Oftentimes, uh, when you've been victimized or when you become a victim of sexual assault, the one thing that happens is you build a barrier. You build a force field around yourself where you don't want to be touched. You don't really want to associate with anybody. You do not want to be a part of society. You do not want to be a part of the world. But then you start to feel like the isolation is making you want to tell everybody why you are the way that you are. For me, I know this was something that I never wanted for my child. I never wanted her to be in a predicament to have to experience any of the things that I have ever experienced or be a part of any of the things that I've ever been a part of. Unfortunately, DHS failed her by taking her from me and placing her in foster care because she was introduced to a world that had sexual assault in it. She was introduced to a world where she would be a victim. Not every victim wants to say the words out loud, or not every victim wants to say the story out loud. I know for me, there was a time where I kept what was going on with me in for 10 years. 10 years. And what made it come out was the fact that I had attempted to kill myself. And at that time, that would have been about number 68. It's not a beautiful feeling. It's not a great thing when you are feeling like you're powerless in a situation. It is not a good feeling at all. So since this has to pretty much be about, I'm a little bit over the time, since this has to be about 7 minutes, I am going to end this portion of the talk. And since I am posting this to YouTube, and you guys know that this is what I do on my podcast, this is what I do on my YouTube channel, I would like for you guys to comment on my page and tell me if whether or not you would like for me to finish this as a series. And I'll see you next time.